and welcome to the next episode, Learn, Grow, Do, Repeat with Jamie Totino. Now, today I'm joined by another young gun CEO in Australia who's doing incredible things with an incredible product. And as we were just saying before we came on air, I still remember the first time I saw the product in store and I thought to myself, wow, this is incredible. So we've recently connected and I thought, would love to get him on the show and do an episode to give some incredible value. So he started his career at PwC and only lasted about 2.5 years before launching his first social commerce platform and app. In 2013, he started his entrepreneurial apprenticeship with Dr. Sam Prince. He worked along Sam for about 3 years before they launched the brand Shine, which is Australia's first Nootropics drink. I think I said that right. Co-founded with Sam, he's now the CEO of Shine at the age of 28. Shine is available in over 5,000 retailers Australia-wide and in all the biggest ones that we all know of. And I want to make sure I get these next accolades right. The brand was recognized as one of Australia's fastest growing beverage companies and startups. In 2017, won a Global Beverage Award for Innovation. And in 2019, was a New South Wales Small and Succeeding Business of the Year. We have on the show, Steve Chapman. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Good to be here.
How did I go with that intro? Did I pronounce everything? Did I hit them all right?
Yeah, good. Nootropics is probably the one little bit, but we'll get there. It's a new word for most.
We all learned something there, Nootropics. Yeah, and I even wrote it down and I still got it wrong. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How are you, buddy? Good. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
No worries, man.
We're going to get stuck straight into some rapid fire. So just to let the listeners know, I haven't pre-framed you on any of these questions. No. So they're fast questions, fast answers. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's
do it. Favorite song right now?
I'm going to say Dave East, new album. He's got a song on it called Handsome.
Dave East.
Yeah, it's a New York rapper.
Okay. Favorite song to get pumped up to?
Trophies by Drake.
Oh, yeah. Any Drake's good. Favorite movie?
Good Will Hunting or The Thomas Crown Affair.
What was the second one?
The Thomas Crown Affair.
Never heard of it.
Pierce Brosnan at his best.
Oh, okay.
Pre-Bond, yeah.
All right. Pre-Bond, then that's pretty old school then.
Yeah.
Might have to go and watch it. Favorite book?
Mastery by Robert Greene or Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
I like Mastery. That's a good one. Favorite color?
Black, if that's the color.
We'll just pay it for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Your go-to meal?
I'd say always have a pizza on Fridays with the fiance. We call it Fiance Fridays.
Nice. Pizza Fridays. I like it. Favorite TV show?
Probably most recently, I end up committing to Game of Thrones eventually after like 5 years of people saying
I still haven't watched it. Is it any good?
It's good. It's worth the commitment.
I'm massive on Power. So
yeah, Power's good.
Yeah, Power's good.
It's a movie, man. Every episode, it's awesome.
Epic. All right. I've been steering it away, been pushing it away. I just want to be that one person in the entire world who hasn't watched it.
I was that guy. I was that guy. I did it, and it's fantastic. And I don't regret a moment.
Yeah, I like it. Your biggest celebrity and sporting idol growing up?
Celebrity. I'm gonna go The Rock. Like I just love that guy. And sporting
still now as well. Like he's still a mad dog. Like as if he's still
getting better with age.
Totally.
Sporting, I would say Kobe Bryant for sure.
Yeah, love it. Do you watch the game today?
I haven't seen the score, so don't say anything.
Okay, I won't say anything. Wow. Okay.
I'm watching the playoffs. I've got it when I get home. So
totally. All right. One thing that you hate or dislike, and you can't say coriander, and it doesn't have to be food.
People who complain about things outside their control, like the traffic or weather.
I like it. Funniest or craziest thing you've done?
Craziest. On New Year's Eve, we ran 80 Ks just for the hell of it.
Just to a party at least, or just?
No, we started at 4 a.m. and just ran 80 and then went to bed and didn't watch the fireworks. That was the most recent one. I've done a bunch of other crazy stuff, but that was the one.
After running 80 Ks, I'm surprised you didn't stay up. Like, there's no chance you'd be able to stay up after 80 Ks.
Yeah, I was pretty tired.
Pretty dead. Pretty dead. I like it. Are you more of a book or audio book?
I actually do both at the same time, called immersion reading.
Oh, I've heard of it. I've
You
heard of it.
read whilst you get in the audio input as well. I find that increases retention a lot.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. I personally haven't tried it, but I've heard it. I might have to give it a crack. Summer or winter?
Can I say both again? I love surfing, but skiing. Like skiing's my happy place, but I love the beach and swimming as well. So,
Because I'm a good guy.
Pick one. I'll go skiing winter.
Winter. Okay. We haven't had winter in a while, mainly because a lot of people I've been speaking to live in Melbourne, and winter sucks right now. So everyone's hanging for summer. Love it. What is something that you haven't done that you would love to do though?
Climb Everest.
Oh, that was quick. Is that coming up soon?
I've got a bucket list. No, it's just on the list.
It's on the list. I like it. Sum up your mindset in one word.
Sum up mindset in one word.
Your mindset in one word.
Gratitude. Grateful.
I like it. Nice answer. Proudest moment personally, and then proudest moment professionally.
Personally, it's linked professionally, but I just have a great moment where we won that World Beverage Award for the innovation, and it got announced, and you had to go to Germany to get the award. So it was like my mum flew over just for the award. Like,
oh no way!
So sweet in Munich, and she was there, and we got it. And
did you know she was coming?
Yeah. She told booked flights. Like as soon as I told her we were nominated and things, so that was pretty sweet.
Awesome.
Just in my mum and professionally, I'd say just seeing Shine being purchased by a random in like a Coles or Woolies or 7-Eleven or Cowsex. Like you stand in there just watching them go to the store, and they buy it and they like it, they knock it back, and man, that just makes me happy every time.
While you're there, like you're watching the person buy it, or just
I'm watching it.
Just there as a normal customer getting your groceries and see someone buy your product.
Yeah, that makes me so happy all the time.
How good is that? How good is that? Well done, man. Tell us something that no one knows about you.
I'm an open book usually. I didn't start speaking until I was about 3 or 4, which is quite late. And I had quite a bad speech impediment as a kid. So I got bullied quite a lot through high school for public speaking. So it was like a big fear of mine, but now I do a bit of it. So I've had to kind of overcome it.
Wow. Okay. We can definitely go into a bit more of that and how you overcome it and what that has done for you. Now substitute this word for any other word you want. Your greatest failure that ended up being your best lesson.
Probably my first business attempt, which was my app, and one that ended up getting me sued by Facebook and lose a lot of money. But taught me 2 things. One, that I love entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It was like my life's calling. I'm going to do it until I die. And secondly, is that I had an ego, and that I needed to conquer my ego to kind of proceed in anything I did next. So to tackle humility was the biggest insight that I got, which has paid dividends ever since.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it makes sense why you said grateful for your mindset in one word. Is that like a life goal to get sued by Facebook? You know, I don't know if
it's not fun. It's just depressing and sad, and
totally. I can only imagine. They come out here with everything they've got. This is a cool one. If you could choose to have lunch with any one person in the world, 2-hour time limit, who would it be and where would it be? Past or present, dead or alive, anyone?
I'd say there's a couple of guys on my list. One would have to be Jesus. Just like the dude's impacted history more than most, so I would love to meet the dude for 2 hours.
Where would you have lunch? That was.
It'd have to be at a Zambrero with a Shine.
I like
Jesus or Ben Franklin, I think, would be the 2 that come to mind.
Jesus I've never had, and I actually really like that answer. Like you said, he's probably not more than most, like the most has impacted life.
No one's come close to that guy in terms of impact of, like, we still today all call this 2020. Like, it doesn't matter where in the world you are, what religion you believe in, and everyone's agreeing this is 2020, even though that's based on when this dude was born and died. Like, we've all accepted Jesus is
True.
At some point.
There's so much more, man. That is a great answer. Can I be there when you do that? Can I come along to lunch? Let me know the date and the place. I love it. Let me know which Zambreros are going and I'll be there. I like it. What was 10-year-old Steve like?
Cheeky, like a class clown, competitive as all hell, and probably at 10, just a really happy kid.
Yeah, nice one. Second last question. We're getting to the tail end of rapid fire. You've done well. What's one trait, one skill, one like quality that you would say is consistent across your 5 closest friends, but the one that's most important to you, Steve?
I would say the desire to be better. And I would describe it as Kaizen, which is a Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement every day.
Yeah.
But it's a general sense of getting up and trying to be better, like a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Versus the fixed mindset and being happy with, the status quo. And I think the people I associate closest with are always trying to improve themselves.
Yeah, nice.
A little bit over the lifetime.
Good. And I guess it just pushes you naturally to keep, if they're all pushing and then you're pushing, then everyone's just pushing along together. And it's just probably the best way to achieve. I like it. Favorite superhero to wrap it up. Who's your favorite superhero?
Gotta be Batman.
Batman.
Yeah. He's the only achievable one.
He's the only most normal one. You know what's funny? On Instagram, twice in the last week, I've been followed by this guy named Bruce Wayne. And I'm sort of thinking, are you fucking Batman? I'm like, I don't know. He could be. Yeah. That's rapid fire. Well done. You made it through. Good job. Hey, one quick question on the back of that. During this COVID time and this crisis time, what's one thing you'd say you've learned about yourself, during this, say, last 6 months, if not longer?
I think one of the insights that I was reflecting on recently was the balance between my natural introversion and extroversion. And I think being in the office and around people and meeting and networking and stuff, I was getting a lot of it. So I really craved my internal time. Then when we went to lockdowns and everything flipped, I was actually finding myself really trying to, I was just so much overwhelmed with video calls and every minute was backed out for the day. I was really missing that part of my world, and I was out of balance a little bit. So I had to be deliberate around making sure I'm getting a good balance of introversion and blocking my alone time and extroversion around getting energy from other people. Good.
And you know why I love that answer, man, is because I think for some reason everyone thinks you have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
You can't be both, or you can't have a blend of both. It's like you have to be an extrovert or you have to be an introvert. You can't sort of sit in the middle and get a bit of both.
Yeah.
To feed what it is. And like you said, find that balance or harmony, so to say, that suits you. No, I love it. Look, man, let's back it up as far as you can remember. And I know I opened it up with a bit of PwC. During school, was that what you wanted to do? Was it school, uni, corporate world? Was that the goal? Take it back as far as you can and let us know.
Yeah, I think through high school, I was always quite entrepreneurial by today's standards, like car wash business or paper routes and getting as many as I could and getting the neighborhood kids to help out and things like that. And,
delegating. I love it.
The GHD hair straighteners on eBay and selling them to the girls in the eastern suburbs and just doing stuff like that, on weekends and after school and stuff. And everyone's like, oh, you're going to be good at business when you grow up. And entrepreneurship wasn't really a word back then. So it was okay, business, what's that? And you kind of look at your friends' parents and dads really at my career choices.
Yeah.
And I went to a pretty nice school in North Sydney, in Sydney here. And one of them was the CEO of Merrill Lynch. So he became the poster child of what success in business looked like. And, 2 weeks later, I think I had an internship at Merrill Lynch and just kind of sat outside his office and tried to learn as much as I could. And then I thought, okay, well, straight from high school, I was pretty eager to get after it. So none of the investment bankers and mergers, acquisitions and things like that hired straight from high school. You had to go to uni first. But the big 4 accountancy firms did. So I could start at PwC, I think a couple of weeks after I finished at high school, and went into the corporate world in the PwC cadetship program. And I was doing part-time uni at the time, but full-time PwC work. And I just remember sitting in university going like, man, everyone here is working and studying really hard to try and get this business degree to try and get into something like PwC. And then I'm like, I'm in PwC and it's pretty boring. Like it's not serving my soul and it's not making me very happy. So I thought, university became a lot less interesting to me, and PwC I realized wasn't probably where I wanted to end up, even though, my parents aren't from a wealthy background at all. And like, that was the element of success for a lot of them, because if I stayed there for 10 years, I would have a white picket fence and a BMW, but
totally,
that would make me pretty miserable every day. And I remember this famous quote in Jim Carrey's commencement speech. So Jim talks about his dad, who's funnier than Jim Carrey, one of the funniest guys in the world. And he was like, he never pursued a career in comedy because he wanted to maintain the financial security of his family. And then he went to work for like 10 years every day, miserable, got made redundant anyway, threw his family in financial turmoil anyway. And Jim's like, well, if you can fail at something that you don't want to do, you might as well try something you do want to do.
I loved it.
And that resonated with me deeply. And at the time, as a kid, I never read any books. Like, I couldn't finish a book. My brother loved Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. And like, he would probably pay me out a bit for being like, you're an idiot, you can't read a book. And I was like, just the content just didn't appeal to me. The first time I picked up Branson's book or Jobs' book or guys like Zuckerberg and reading about their stories, man, I just like cover to cover, like something just flipped. I could read about this stuff all day. So that's one of the triggers. Like, I want to be more like a Jobs and Branson and Musk and these guys more than a business accountant and things. So that's when I started building this app on the side, and the plan was to sell it to Facebook for $1 billion and I don't know, retire on a beach with mojitos or something.
Absolutely. At the age of 23. Absolutely.
And then, that went publicly. Look, it went all right. Like, we got tens of thousands of downloads and we got a bunch of awards, and it was one of the Apple top lifestyle apps for a period of time. And but privately just made every mistake that you would make as initially an 18, 19, 20-year-old entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about design? Do you know anything about development? Do you know anything about fundraising? Do you know anything about anything? But the biggest problem was I thought I knew about those things. And I wanted to act the world like I knew what I was doing, because I thought Zuckerberg was, had an attitude with a hoodie. So I had to kind of be like that persona, which is not true at all. And I end up, in a bad place, getting sued by Facebook, and we got shut down and end up losing a lot of money for a 20-year-old. And that was dark, man. That was really sad and depressing, because up until that point, I was, on track to be successful by whatever definition we look at in terms of PwC, and I did well at school and did some good sports stuff and everything was going well. And then just like smack, like I fell off a cliff and hit the bottom pretty hard.
So you were still working at PwC with this app going, or? I
left PwC. I started it whilst I was at PwC and then dropped out of PwC, dropped out of university to pursue this full time. And to make some money on the side, I was doing a multi-level marketing business.
Yeah, nice. We've all done it.
Selling healthy energy drinks. So it's quite hilarious, because I ended up like hard selling a lot of my friends onto it. And then the whole thing with the multi-level marketing thing, you're like, it's not a pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid scheme. Like, that's the whole pitch. And then like literally within a couple of weeks, Facebook shutting us down with the app, that multi-level marketing business I was in got confirmed pyramid scheme and shut down. So like, I made some okay money from it, but all my friends lost all their money and like pissed off and shitty. So man, it was just I lost my friends' money. I lost my family money. I lost fucking my own money. It was just
And how old were you here? What, 20, 21?
This was 19, 20, probably 20. Because it was just before I met Sam Prince, who entered the story as someone in that dark time. I was like, hey, as I said before, I love entrepreneurship. Like, this ride that just happened, even though it ended in tears and crash and burn, I loved it and I want to do more of it, but I want to do it properly and successfully and like be able to do it repeatably successfully.
Lasting.
There must be something to learn from repeatable successful guys, like serial entrepreneurs, versus the guys who got lucky. So you look at Elon or Musk, who's done it a few times, Jobs done it a few times, Branson did it 500 times.
Forever.
I thought what are they doing that's different versus just the get lucky guys? So I kind of looked into Australian entrepreneurs, and I was like, who's a serial entrepreneur that's done this more than once and successful, but not too old? And Sam was at the top of my list. Like, he's a doctor, philanthropist, and he started a number of great businesses, and he's only 9 years older than me. And I thought he's the ideal mentor for me. So I thought, okay, I need to learn humility, and I need to learn from someone smarter than me in entrepreneurship who's done it before. So I ended up tracking down Sam. We had one mutual friend. It's a funny story, actually. The DJ who is playing at my wedding in a month's time, but he was the one mutual friend with Sam. And I was like, hey, like, can you invite Sam to an event you're hosting? And he's like, I'll see. He's not a big party. He doesn't really drink much. And I was like, yeah, okay. Just please get him there. And eventually Sam got to one of these events. So then I didn't drink, because like the two sober people always end up talking.
Hanging out.
There's only two of them. So we ended up hitting it off and had a great connection and good time and really good chat. And we just really connected over entrepreneurship and the passion for it. You know, hip hop and basketball were like the three things.
Yeah.
And then it just turned into a friendship and a mentorship, and it ended up with me going, hey, can you bring me on board full time? I want to learn as much as I can in the room with you. Like, let me watch how you build these things. And so that I joined the organization as a personal assistant, getting coffees and sandwiches and taking minutes and notes and doing email calendar invites and anything, man, to do.
Yeah, just be around, just be in the area.
Just to watch like how Sam was making the strategic decisions behind the scenes, the books he was reading, what people he was talking to. Because when they, the people into the room, it was like a Nobel Prize winner or a billionaire, or like, these are the people I get to hear from on a daily basis while taking some minutes, man. That's like paid study. I do this any day.
You won't get that in uni, that's for sure.
No, man. So, that was an absolute blessing. And I just went all in, man, on that. I just stopped socializing. I stopped drinking. I get up now at 4:24, but I started that 5 years ago. 6 years ago with Sam. Meditation, I think I've read probably 500 nonfiction books now, like just all in to just get as much as I could from that opportunity that I had. Went from PA to EA to more like just a 2IC, helping Sam across the businesses and help where I could run either projects or help him start some new stuff that we're doing. But the promise, the kind of plan was always to return to the promised land and run my own venture and kind of get onto the startup world again. And so that's where Shine came in, and we started that 4 years ago together.
Did you bring the idea of Shine, or was it a combined, hey, I've seen this, so what should we do? Can we bring it to or who had the idea of it?
Full credit to Sam. He definitely was like, hey, he's a medical doctor by training and practice as well. So, and qualification. So he was like, hey, in Zambrero, we started to develop some food, like the IQ bowl and the IQ range. And it was all based off scientific research that things like magnesium and omega-3 and 6s and stuff has actually been shown in the top level clinical papers that helps with brain function and brain health over time. So Sam was like, hey, would this work in a drink? And I was like, let me look into it. And then experimenting with, Reddit and Nootropics and just going down the hole there and rabbit hole, and joined by another guy who came on board at that time, a guy called Andrew, who had some background and familiarity with Nootropics.
Yeah.
So between the three of us, we're like, let's do this. Craft this kind of territory of an idea to what does it look like? What's the name? What's the formula? How do we make it? How do you start a beverage company?
Yeah. How do we launch it? How do we get it in shops? How do people buy it?
Yeah.
How do we brand it?
That whole thing came next.
Yeah, absolutely. In that 3 years, before we get stuck into Shine, I really want to, pick your brain on that 3 years, like working closely with Sam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For you, was that like to go from running your own business, being like a successful app, leaving uni and then going to get coffee for someone? What was your mindset around that? Like, how did you build the confidence, stamina, maybe not even the word confidence, just like you said humility, but how did you just commit to it?
I think that's probably one thing I'm good at doing, is just once I commit to something, I'm very good at following through on it. And whatever goal I set, I'll just make it happen somehow. So I don't know if that's genetic thing. I'm just blessed that for me, once the decision's made around what I'm going to do and I publicly commit to it, I'm all in on it. Man, like I won't lie to you, it wasn't like pleasant and it wasn't like overly
glamorous.
Not glamorous, man. Like, and I think, my LinkedIn status went from like, CEO founder to like PA. And I was rolling burritos in the Zambrero store and a few old friends, and I'll call them old friends, were ripping in a bit, going, mate, like, how's the app going? And, it's a bit of a fall from grace. But man, I needed it. Absolutely. I needed to be smacked in the face with reality that a 20-year-old doesn't know shit, and you need to learn and you need to do the work and you need to put in the hours, you need to leverage other people's experience, or at least go get the experience yourself.
Yeah, totally.
And you can't accept or expect you're just going to like be a rock star at the gate. Like,
absolutely.
Talent is worked in the like hard earned, man, not given.
But how did you come up with the idea of going to work alongside someone, like, or go and find a mentor, or find someone to, follow the path on? Like, did you read that somewhere? Did you hear that? Did you just think of it and say, wow, that's probably a good idea to go and follow someone? Like, how did that come about?
That was something that I've always been drawn to naturally. I think I just love learning. I have a thirst for learning, particularly things I'm interested in around entrepreneurship and business. So, as early as going to work for the CEO of Merrill Lynch, I was just hungry to go, hey, if that's what success looks like, let's just go straight to the top and try and find out
what we're
doing and ask for advice. So before Sam, I had a number of mentors. But they were, and no fault to their own, they're all fantastic individuals and business owners, but I would do like let's get coffee every 2 weeks or once a month and do a 2-hour thing. But then, I'll do that with 5 or 6 different mentors, and they'll all tell me something different. So I'm like running after the coffee in one direction flat out for 10 days, and then another coffee running in the opposite direction. And it's unproductive. And I was like, I'm not getting anywhere here. I'm getting conflicting advice. I need to pick one philosophy, one virtue value set, one person ultimately, and then go all in on that. So it was a bit of trial and error with mentorship, but I've always found studying the greats the best way to learn from my own self. And I thought, let's do it with Sam.
Yeah, good.
Sam's a great teacher as well. I think there was a natural fit where he loved to teach and I love to learn. Like, we're very good chemistry in that front.
Yeah. Or it's like that saying, when the student is ready, the master will appear. And at the same time, though, like, you put the effort in to make sure that you could meet with Sam, to make sure he's there. I'm not going to drink. We're going to hang out. Like, that's not by accident. Like, you actually had to play the first hand. You had to take the first step. You had to play your cards right.
Yeah, I think you always make your own luck, but in the day,
correct.
Like
there's no luck there at all. Like you've
got to open yourself up for opportunity, right?
100%. So
no guarantees, but over a long enough time period, it is kind of guaranteed. And I just look at that like as my faith. Like,
well, if you keep turning up daily, keep learning, keep putting yourself out there, keep putting you, like you said there at the start, like around the closest friends, they're always looking for more. They're always pushing themselves and the people around them. It's only a matter of time until you, I don't want to use the word hit the jackpot, but it's only a matter of time until you actually land on the thing you're destined for and meet the people you're destined to meet and do the thing you're destined to do.
100%. It just makes sense, like in my deepest core. And you can't tell someone, they won't believe it at the start of the journey.
Totally.
It's just a blind faith thing that you just have to stick to the process through all the doubts, all the rejection, all the failure, all the hard work.
Yeah.
It just works out almost all the time once you get through the other side.
I love that.
I think if you could give someone like literally a $10 million check and go like, this is deposited, you can just withdraw it in 5 years from now. But for the next 5 years, you have to fucking go all in, grind.
100%.
Everything possible to do whatever you need to do, guaranteed that check will clear in 5 years. But they're just not willing to take the bet that they risk all this fun stuff in 5 years just in case it doesn't clear. And it's like, well, you're missing the point, man. Like, if you want the check, it's a known path. It's not unknown. Yeah.
It's there. And like you said, the formula it's proven hundreds and hundreds of times over and over again by so many different people globally, on so many different scales and so many different businesses and industries. Even just in sport, like, it doesn't even have to be in business. Like, you do the work, you'll get there consistently. Like, you spoke about basketball. That's the nature of it. Like, how many people go to the draft to be drafted? Yeah. How many actually get drafted?
I think I was talking to an NBA guy in the US about this, not an actual NBA player, but someone who loves the NBA. It's like from high school, like top high school teams, it's like 1% get to good college, then 1% from college get to the NBA. So like the odds are just like unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
But if you over time consistently, like Duncan Robertson, who's in the Miami Heat in this playoff series, like he's an undrafted dude in a shitty college, and he's playing phenomenal in a NBA Finals a couple of years later. Like he just kept showing up.
Totally.
Curry's another good example, and
100%.
I think with entrepreneurship, it's even more open to play than the NBA. There's natural physical limitations in sport. Like sometimes you need to be you need two legs, you need two arms. Like there's some
you need to be a certain height. Yeah.
Height helps as well. So I think there's the blessing of physical traits, but there's always someone that breaks the rule, which is, hey, I'm just going to keep showing up until I get it. And it works, man. So if one person can do it, it proves the theory that you can do it too, I reckon.
Absolutely. No, agreed. And like what you said there about entrepreneurship, like it's even more accessible because it doesn't matter how tall, how short you are. It doesn't matter how old, how young you are. It doesn't matter where you're from or what you've got or what you haven't got. The opportunities are there. And that's...
I think 100 years ago, it was a different breed of entrepreneur that was more successful. Like if you think industrial revolution, it's the Rockefellers and Cornelius and Vanderbilt and these guys who, industrial men, very winner takes all kind of mentality. But think about who's today successful. Like it's computer, scientists to the sales guy, to the marketing, this brand dude, someone who's just a gun math guy on performance marketing on Facebook. You get such a wider entry into the game now because you can just do it in so many ways with the internet and technology and devices.
And it's cheaper than ever before as well. Like you can start a business in an hour, probably for like $100. So you buy a web domain, get an online store, Shopify site set up.
100%.
You can bring a product in from overseas before you don't even have to pay for it. You can sell it all online pre-sale and you've made a couple $100, couple $1,000 in a day. So it's definitely more accessible than ever before. No, I like that. So let's go to Shine. So, you said Sam found out about, just because of some of the foods, and then he thought, well, let's try and see if we can make this into a drink. How long was that process of, hey, I've got this idea to this is what we've got?
I think Sam and I were playing with the idea for a couple of months. We fully committed to the idea on February 12th, 2016. Like we registered the business, got like the first domain name, not Shine because we didn't have the name yet. But we were like, let's do this, Feb 12th, 2016. And we ended up hiring a guy who ended up becoming pretty much how I did that apprenticeship with Sam. A guy called Andrew had reached out to me for advice a few months earlier, and I was having coffee catch-ups and doing that thing with him. He was a med student, but thinking about being an entrepreneur. And I was like, hey, do you want to come build this startup with me? Like it's ground zero. We've just registered, I think he was on the day we registered the domain name kind of stuff. And he's like, let's do it. So I just tried to teach everything I learned from Sam and all the books and everything I've done over the last 3 years to Andrew whilst we were building Shine together. So we ended up going, I'll figure out how to sell and market it. You figure out how to make it, manufacture and ship it around the country. And that's how we split the business. And so that was from Feb 12th. We ended up launching online our first round of product on 1 July. So it was about 5 months.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then
well done, man.
It was weird in the food and beverage world because mostly timelines are a lot longer than that. Well, I remember talking to some suppliers early being like, hey, like this was in March or April. Hey, we want to launch in June. Like, let's go. And they're like, June next year, right? We're like, no. Like,
in 3 months. Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, was it because you had the extra manpower to get there quicker or like, what was it?
It was just, we didn't have any experience, so we didn't know what couldn't be done, I think, was part of it.
Nice.
And the other part was like, in technology startups these days, it's quite well known, which is this lean startup mentality of get to market with an MVP of something that represents the core assumptions of the business, test it with people actually paying with their wallets, and then use their feedback and kind of build from there into product innovation cycles. That just doesn't happen in manufacturing physical goods still, because in CPG or in fast moving consumer goods world, the scale of these manufacturing things are just so large. Like you're talking 18 months to 3 years on most NPD cycles for these big guys, because they've got to tool up their equipment, they've got to get all the packaging, they've got legal, they've got sign-offs, they've got formula, they've got testing, they've got shelf life, and they don't want to take any risk. Totally. So they've got like one swing at the bat, versus we were like, one, we're small, so we don't need massive machinery and tooling and stuff. Let's just literally get this formula, make it taste nice in a bottle and sell it and see if people like it and willing to pay $6.50 for it. And that was it. Like, it had no barcode on it. It had just a little sticker of shine across the thing. It had
that was the first ones to go to stores.
Yeah, well, first online. We just
true.
Online only.
Yeah.
We end up having, I think, about 150 cases, and we're like, this will last. We had 7 packs at the time. It was our first fusion because it was like one for each day of the week.
Yeah.
And we thought that should last us about 3 months, is what we thought. But we sold them out in 24 hours.
Wow.
On launch, and we're like, all right, people like this. People like the concept of it. Let's manufacture a little bit more, a bit bigger. Let's take in some of the feedback. Let's tweak it a little bit. And the next one we did, 300, and then that sold out. And then we're like, all right, let's make 1,000 and let's do that. And we just keep going now, and we just keep doubling down and backing ourselves.
I can see why you won so many awards in that early piece. Is like you're proof in the pudding there, man. That's incredible, awesome work. And did the recipe change as you went, or
was similar to a software like technology stuff? We kind of like to upgrade the versions. Like, this is V2 or V3 or V4.
Nice.
That's how we look at it internally. We don't actually communicate it publicly much. So I have a marketing idea where I want to do more of that, but. We always meant, I think we've had 17, 18 versions of the label.
And it's only ever going to get better, which is incredible as well. And again, as a consumer, like, it just means that I'm going to get a better product. So
like we launched our new 330 ml range, which you can see behind me. Which, man, like, there was a 6-month project. We rebuilt it from the ground up, like new manufacturer, new packaging, new labels, new formula, new suppliers, new, packaging, new labeling. Like, the whole thing, man, was a rebuild, because we've learned so much in the 2 years since the 400 mils have been in the market. Let's go again, and let's improve it again and get a better product for our customer at a cheaper price.
I love it.
And I think you got one, innovation is key regardless of what business you're in. And then 2, I think, be nimble and flexible enough to be able to actually use the insights you're learning. Some of these big businesses have such big data insights teams, but they just aren't quick enough to act on it. So by the time they get to market with something, it's gone.
By the time they act on what they've learned, and we saw this we saw these numbers doing this, let's do this. By the time they even do anything, it's going to get signed off by 100 people, and let's have this meeting, let's do this Zoom call, and mate, the time's gone.
It's
3 years down the road.
I think like Coca-Cola and Pepsi and things in our industry are just known to not create brands, because it's too hard to pick something and then try and back it and put it through their system. So they really just wait for brands and categories to get to a certain scale, and then they just buy them and plug them.
So is that the goal?
I'm just trying to build a great brand and great company and great product, and like
where it goes.
We're playing in is massive, and I think Red Bull does 350 odd million in Australia. I think Dare Ice Coffee does the same. I don't see any reason why Shine can't do that in Australia. And then in the US, I'd love to see, I'd love to create a $1 billion brand at some point. If that's Shine, if that's the next one, I'd just love to do that big round number.
Nice.
But in the meantime, man, just keep the product true, keep the customers happy, and
good.
Each year I just want to keep doubling is the main goal.
I like it. What separates you guys though? I don't know if it's just in the beverage space, but has anyone even tried to copy, replicate, come into market with the same similar product in the past, like to date? Has anyone done that?
Yeah, like there's a few smaller guys who are just getting started. In the US, there's some bigger players who are, I'd say globally, we're probably the biggest nootropic drink company in the world.
Okay.
But there's definitely a few now in the US that have got like national range in one account, or they've got one SKU now and they've got some traction. So I'd say the waves definitely come in. The Mintel, which is like a big reports insights research house, they just published a trend report a couple of days ago, and the title was Nootropics is the future of functional drinks.
Wow.
So that's music to my ears, and something I've been telling everyone for 3 years now. Someone else with credibility says that.
Totally. Now you can post it online. So see, I told you guys. Should have listened to me 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. We're just getting started still, and like kombucha's had that moment for the last 3 years in Australia, 5 years globally. And have we reached peak kombucha? I'm not sure, but it's seeming like it from some of the data, particularly overseas. Besides plateau, that better for you market. But energy drinks, man, when I started in this business, 65 billion globally, it's now 100 billion globally in the space of 3.5, 4 years. So, and everyone I talk to about energy drinks knows they're not great for you. Like, they're full of sugars and sugars and weird stuff you can't pronounce. And no one's like, they're good for you, let's drink more. But there was nothing else, man. And it's coffee or energy drinks are the two solutions. And we're trying to give people a third option with Shine and
nice. Good. Just for the consumer and even for myself, even for the listener, sorry, Nootropics, what exactly is it? Where does it come from? 30 seconds, just so people know exactly what it is when you pronounce that, and when you say what it is, they know exactly what it means.
Yeah, a good way to think about it is a lot of people now understand probiotics, and probiotics are good for the gut.
Yep.
And kombucha has probiotics, and probiotics are good for the gut. So Shine has nootropics, and nootropics are good for the mind. So nootropics are ingredients that are good for mental performance, brain function, mental health, clarity, concentration. So there's natural versions and there's synthetic versions. Some people are familiar with some of the synthetic versions, which are kind of like, the Limitless movie with Bradley Cooper.
Totally.
That's the Hollywood version of Tropics.
Yeah.
Obviously that's a movie, but what's close to that might be, modafinil, and there's a bunch of racetam families, and there's a lot of chemical and artificial nootropics, which are a bit more intense, and Ritalin and dexamphetamines and that kind of stuff. But there's natural versions of it, which are heaps less intense. Things like ginkgo biloba, ginseng, green tea, B vitamins, turmeric, L-theanine, stuff that's been around for hundreds of years.
Forever, yeah.
They just mix it up, and the first to kind of market it in its own unique formula and kind of bring it to market with a good brand and a good story.
On the back of that, you just said good branding, good story. Was that a key element when you launched it? Hey, if we're going to do this, we need to make sure, like, obviously most brands think that, we need to get our branding right. But was that something that you guys, like, we have to nail this?
100%.
Yeah.
And
what was the strategy? Like, what was the thought process even?
Well, the biggest mistake, I think, on reflection, one of the biggest mistakes, I made a bunch, with FaceBuy was I didn't care or even think about brand for a second. I literally thought logos was like word art.
On PowerPoint, huh?
Yeah, like that was what I thought. I'm like, who really cares about that stuff? But as you see from any successful app now, it's all about user experience, all about user design.
Totally.
So that was something I was never going to make that same mistake again on. And Sam's like, he's a brand guy as well. Like he understands the importance of brand. So through my own mistakes and Sam's guidance, he's like, we need to get brand right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, man, we to get to market in those 5 months, it cost us 32 grand. We spent 16,500 on our brand agency. Like, it was half the money we had to get. They came up with the word Shine, which I'm just in love with, and they nailed that. And then they came up with the custom font, the look and feel, the packaging, what website might look like, and some of the advertising copy lines. So they gave us, a business effectively for that 16.5. And Seth Godin talks about this, who's one of my favorite marketers, when he's like, an amateur will get it right once in 1,000 times. Like, a professional gets it right every time. Like, that's their job.
Yeah.
Going for surgery, do you want the amateur or do you want the professional? But
do you want the med?
You can get, $5 logo on Fiverr, and maybe that's the only option you have. But my advice to a lot of first-time entrepreneurs is, like, invest in brand, because that's all you have to tell your story to start with. And you've got to convince a bunch of people to do crazy things for this idea. And the best way you can visualize that idea in the world is capturing it right in a good brand that has, consistent colors and thoughtful strategies and thoughtful typeface. And because intuitively as humans, we get it. We see something and we're like, oh, that looks professional, or that looks shit. We can't really point out exactly what it is, but it's
the judgment happens so quickly. We're judging it right away. And especially now more in a more visual world, especially with social media, like everything's pictures, everything's colors, it's all, everyone's, like you said, like I would love to see the percentage of, time spent, you can do like your phone time and you see how much, globally, how much is actually spent on like social media.
Oh man, huge.
It probably is out there, but that has changed the way, like that is like your images, your product images, your logo, like you said, the colors, the wording, the way it sits, the way it looks, the website is unfortunately, what people are judging you on before they even will decide to buy your product and spend a $6.50 or whatever
and
it is.
particularly in food and beverage, people who are in something like in the body, they need to trust it. And in entrepreneurship research, there's actually a credibility graph of you just need to climb that credibility graph as quickly as possible. And brand and legitimacy around professional look and feel is most of the way there. And then it's around who's behind it and people and things, which, for a lot of companies at a big scale, no one knows who's behind. Most people don't know who the MD of Coke is or who is behind V Energy. But they'll get the look and feel of the brand. They go, it's credible.
Totally. Well, even think about Red Bull. Who even knows where that is even made? But it doesn't matter, because it's everywhere. And,
exactly.
Like you said, the brand hits the spot on every angle. And so would you say that definitely the research and the production and the manufacturing, especially if we talk food and beverage, but would you say it doesn't matter what brand it is, again, in your opinion, and what the product is, the business is, that the branding is going to be top of the list of, we need to make sure we get this right?
100%. It's the business. Like maybe there's a few exceptions around tech, and particularly like software as the product. Like it actually needs to probably do what it says to people to pay for it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's about how people feel when they're not consuming your product. And branding is the art of influencing how someone feels about you. So I would say it is the business. I'm a brand bias guy now versus product or a business model kind of guy, but I've got it wrong, and I know that doesn't work. So
I like what you said there. Branding is the art of how someone feels.
Yeah,
that is so good. I think that might be the title of the podcast. Right there.
I'm not a brand expert. Like I'm still figuring it out, and there's a bunch of smart people around me as well that helps with that stuff. But
of course,
I drink the Kool-Aid, that's for sure.
Totally. Well, again, but you're walking the walk. Like you're not saying, "Hey, you go and do your brand, and your brand shit." You know what I mean? Or we're saying, "Hey, you're not saying, hey, go and spend a lot of money on branding, but we're going to go and get a logo on Fiverr."
Yeah.
And again, like there's nothing wrong with Fiverr. Like you said, if that's all that you can, if you're a startup, that's all you can do. But if it means that you have to maybe double down and cut your Netflix and Stan and KO subscription to make sure you can get a proper brand done from an agency, then if you want to play the long game, then that might be worth it.
And like definitely there's some really good freelancers. Like find an agency that you love that have done some cool logos or brands that you like in your space, and then go like hit up on LinkedIn the people who actually work at the agency, and then be like, hey, would you be keen for some freelance gig on the side? I'll pay you $150.
You just heard that. You just heard it, guys. You just heard it. That's how you get around it. That's how you get around it. You don't have to pay the top dollars. Like it.
At the end of the day, it's the person doing it. So you can find the person.
Totally.
They're always looking to pay down their mortgage or get their
100%
wife a new present for Valentine's Day. Like
good call.
150 can go a long way in the right hands still.
Good call. What were some of the challenges early in the piece, would you say, getting Shine off the ground? And the reason I asked that is like, for me, when I launched real food vending, vending machines weren't healthy. Vending machines weren't like, you don't buy a healthy drink from a vending machine, or you don't buy a fresh meal from a vending machine. You buy Coke and chips and Mars bars. So to educate people on the fact that this is fresh, this is good quality, it actually tastes amazing, was probably my biggest challenge. For you, like what were some of the challenges that you guys faced early in the piece of Shine?
And everything. it was like, manufacturing. No one, particularly with our little shot, like no one had done a shot on before, like in Australia. So that was like, we had to convince someone to do shots and manufacture it. And we had to figure out how to get the shelf life because it's stable on a counter and, in glass. And like, that was just challenging as all hell. Like, flavor profiles and things like that in terms of tweaking it over time. There was, I think one of the biggest challenges on the marketing side that we faced was, I think to start with, we went too hard on like scientific claims and backing behind each ingredient. And consumers, once you get to a certain stage of like logic and rationalization, they get skeptical. Like if I'm trying to convince these things like the best thing ever, mate, like scientifically says this and this ingredient does this, and
you start to doubt it.
Yeah, man, like, is this snake oil? Like, what is this stuff? How do I know?
Is it cordial?
And if you focus on the emotional benefit of what the product does for the consumer, and goes, this makes you feel, think, do better. This makes you feel confident and energized and ready to perform at your best. You're like, I would like to perform my best because that's an emotional feeling.
Totally.
And then you go, let me convince myself why. Oh, cool. It's got nootropics. It's got turmeric. It's got ginkgo. It's got caffeine. It must do those things.
Yeah.
But end of the day, which is why I talk about brand, is consumers are buying the feeling more than the logic and the rational stuff. So we went too hard on just trying to educate the world on nootropics exactly by definition and papers and here's all the clinical reports.
Per milligram and per gram. We do this. And
consumers, like, you get the skeptics who are like, man, that doesn't stack up to my own, there's biohackers out there who will create their own stacks and they will monitor their blood glucose after they drink it. And like, that's just not our target market. We're not going to win with those guys like who are making their own powders.
I didn't even think you would do that. Like, why would you drink it and then like measure everything to see if it actually worked? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
If you feel good, then it's worked.
If you feel good, it works. And if enough other people are saying it works, it works.
Totally.
There's other ways to build that credibility instead of logically trying to build your argument case by case. Is the slow way around, which a lot of brands, I think, get wrong to start with, and we did as well, is care too much about the science. It's generally the consumer need state that you're selling, not the scientific benefits in our world of fast moving consumer goods. Because you've got 2 seconds at shelf to make a decision.
Totally. Well, especially if you're at the counter and someone's there, it's getting stuff scanned, getting their credit card out, kids are crying and pulling their head, I can get this lollipop, whatever, and it's right there. No, good call. And I think, and it makes sense to think that the logical side of it would be the most important, because you're like, oh, well, they want to know what it's got in it. They want to know that it's got this many milligrams and grams and got this many products from this country and this origin. But at the same time, as business owners, we need to remember that, we want customers to buy on emotions, but as purchasers, we don't want to buy on emotions. we want to actually stop and think about it. That's where branding.
I care about that stuff. Like, I'm an absolute stickler for the type of product specs we get and the certain ratio of topics and functionals and the flavor profile to the, as finite as you can get. I'm trying to, optimize and improve that stuff. But consumers, at the end of the day, you need to
100%
keep it simple, keep it emotional, and that's how you introduce the product.
Correct. And there will be people who care about that. And hey, we've got the information there available for you online. But a huge percentage of people, like we said earlier, a lot more visual, a lot more emotional. The whole social media is emotional experience. So that's what you need to be really pushing to.
Saying, hey man, this works for my last study exam I did. Or hey, one of my favorite influencers drinking this and what they say is correct. That's going to do so much more for your sales efforts than
correct
people logically one by one.
Yeah, good call. I guess, you being the CEO now and playing that role, I'm sure it has many perks. What would you say are some of the, the not so cool parts of playing that role?
I think as any leader and CEO particularly, like, all the worst stuff always gets escalated. Like, if stuff comes to me now, like, it's generally the most like messed up, the biggest problem in the business.
It's had to go to the CEO. That's how bad it is.
It's already escalated a few potentially, and now it's like, all right, this is a big problem. Like, here, please deal with it. And I get that. We always like, as soon as you solve one problem, one or two pops up. So, and to be honest, I enjoy it. I like problem solving. I'm creative, and I like also really working with the team and things. So it's my worst days today doing what I do is still better than my best days at PwC and corporate and stuff. So
good call.
I'm so really grateful, man. At the end of the day, like, if employee, steals or customers no, or, there's problems with the manufacturing or like anything you could throw at me, like, I'm still like, I asked for this, man. Like, totally. I was sitting in PwC
100%.
thinking what I want to do. And it's like, I want to run a company that with a product I love, with good people, and I want to, actually help people and consumers who use and consume the product. Like, just tick, man. I get to do that. And with that comes a bunch of shit.
Comes the other side of it.
Yeah, but like, totally. Man, you signed up for it. So
100%. I like that. And you hit the nail on the head there. It's like, because I honestly don't think, you tell me what you think. I don't think entrepreneurship's for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think owning your own businesses, running your own businesses, building businesses is for everyone, because it's all well and good on Instagram and it looks beautiful and it's like, hey, look how cool this is. But some of the shit you got to go through is definitely not for everyone. And I love what you said there.
I'm a big believer in that. I think anyone has the keys to the gate if they want
Agreed.
to play. But to your point, I don't think everyone should.
Yeah.
Because it's
True.
tough and it's anxiety provoking and it's disappointing and you have high highs and low lows and you got other people counting on you to pay their kids' school fees and
Totally.
like, you know,
Totally.
pay for their mortgage or whatever it is. Like that is a huge burden on people's shoulders. And end of day, like people, as I said before, like if everything goes to shit, it gets escalated. Like
Totally.
but for me, it really goes nowhere. Like I can't escalate it. I have to solve it.
You can't forward the email to someone else, but like, hey, this just came up. Do you want to address it?
I can try and delegate it, but it's just going to come back up. Because
Totally. It'll go to someone else and bounce it back straight back to you. No, I love it. Hey man, what's next for Shine? I know you said you're launching the new products, but you know, what's next in the world of Shine, even, you know, more definitely now, but then even into the next coming years?
Yeah, man, we're just getting started. Like we've only been around for 4 years. You know, I would still say maybe 3% of Australians for best have heard of Shine, have tried us. Like we've sold a lot of bottles, but it's still like just in the starting blocks, man. Like we're coming out the gates fast, but I'm so excited for what happens next. We've got new products, got new SKUs, we've got new ranges, we've got stuff in and outside of beverages, we've got international, we've got build the team out. And like, yeah, I'm so blessed and grateful for where we are, but I'm just so excited for what happens next.
It's in a way still warming up. It's like we're just warming up. We're in the change room getting ready. We haven't even hit the court yet. We haven't even came out there yet.
Yeah, so I'm super excited what happens next.
Good. And what about for you though, man? Like I know you said earlier that whether it's with this company or another company, I'm sure you'll be with Shine till the end. You know, but for you, like, are you eyeing off something else? Like, what's next for you?
I love entrepreneurship. So no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to be starting, creating, running, leading a team, investing. Like I love this ecosystem. I love seeing people unlock their potential and kind of realize some of it. I love something that wasn't even a remote idea, didn't exist in the world to be real and people use it. And like that stuff just brings me so much joy and happiness. So I'll do this and that's a good about entrepreneurship. You can do it till you're dead. Like it's not a physical sport. So that's me, man. On a personal front, you know, I'm getting married next month, which would be
congratulations,
nice and super blessed there. That's really it. Like I'm pretty optimized on the work front, but I always keep fit and active. Like last year's big goal was do an Ironman, which was awesome in June last year. Done a few long runs, a few endurance races, that kind of stuff. So do some
ran 80Ks on New Year's Eve. Like, you know what? I've done it all in life.
Yeah, well, like, you know, Everest would be nice to do soon.
Totally. 100%. Good.
But no, man, I want to put more writing, to be honest, like even just internal, like a journal every day, but I want to be able to just get more deliberate with articulating stuff over time. So I love what you're doing in terms of the content you're putting out, but
appreciate it.
I want to be more deliberate and putting some time behind.
Yeah, good. Writing the book was really good fun, man. And at the start, I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know if I know enough. But once I started like pen to paper and even started visualizing it on the glass partition walls, so much content came out. It was sort of like it just opened up the gates and just flooded out. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that I actually had this much knowledge in my head. And then when you start doing some further research on the back of, you know, I want to speak about this, I want to speak about that, you're just learning yourself and you're passing it on. So it's absolutely incredible. Let me ask you this, Steve. What's one thing that you learned that really blew you away? Whether it be from a personal perspective, whether it be from working with Sam, or whether it be in the most recent time, something that you learned that just blew you away.
I'd say this belief that I think Jobs was the first to talk about it, which at least when I came across it was, he kind of said there's a moment in your life when you realize that the world around you, the walls that are built, the buildings, the tools we're using are built by people no smarter than you. And if you want to, you can go and create your own world. And if it's compelling enough and if it's good enough, people will come live within it. And I love that belief of like infinite possibility on your own skill set. Like,
true.
I think we often as kids go, oh, this big adult world out there. How do you even change it? How would you even implicate it in the smallest?
How can I impact it?
Yeah, but you end up going, hang on, your parents aren't smarter than you. Like, they are humans, they make mistakes. And when
Totally.
you realize, your parents are flawed, you realize you're flawed, you realize the prime minister's flawed, you realize, the guy who built the building's flawed. Like,
Yeah.
they're all humans, they all have a journey, they've all had mistakes, and they've done one or two things better than most. And that's really the only difference they've made. And I think it's down to how hard you work and how big you think as the two differentiating factors of how much impact you make in the world.
Yeah. I was watching a YouTube video this morning. I can't remember who said it, but they said you're gonna think anyway, so why not think big?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I actually wrote that down. I was like, man, that is gold. I can't remember who said it.
There's also the view of like the time's going to pass anyway, so you might as well
do something with it. 100%. No, I like it. What would you say are your top 3 habits, Steve? To be able to do what you do now, and you're well educated, like you said, you've read over nearly 500, books, probably more, seen content online, YouTube, whatever. What would you say are your top 3 habits to get you at peak performance? And you can't say drink shine every day, like that's off the list. 3 other ones for us.
All right, that was definitely the number one.
I'll give you 4. Make sure number 1, cool. Number 1, drink shine, and the 3.
For me, I would say it's actually the theme of this week in Shine, which is temperance. So temperance, from a philosophical standpoint, is like to be tempered, to be restrained, to self-control. And Benjamin Franklin, in his autobiography, also, he's got 13 virtues he tries to live every day. But the first one is temperance, because if he doesn't look after his body and mind, doesn't control his impulses, doesn't do stupid shit, he can then get on to the other 12 quite easily.
Yeah.
And he's so much more likely to succeed. So, I think my changing of, habits around, alcohol, definitely taking that out of my life for 3 years, just had a massive change.
Awesome.
You have so much more energy, you've got so much more vitality, you've got so much more motivation, you've got less dopamine hits, so you can focus on more important stuff. But also with like emotions and stuff, like I'm quite stoic in my beliefs. So I just focus on the emotions I can control, and really just
100%.
Everything else is not up to me. So that for me is part of temperance as well, controlling emotions and controlling impulses. So to be able to control oneself, because realistically, anyone can have a goal. And as we talked about before, most of these goals are known how to achieve them. Like to run, for example, like an Ironman last year, I signed up for an Ironman. I was like 106 kilos. I was into my heavy like weights and stuff. I hadn't owned a bike, hadn't ridden a bike for 10 years, hadn't swum for 10 years. Like I would take a while to do a marathon. And I was like, yeah, I think I can do an Ironman. Like we signed up for Cairns 5 months later, bought a bike, got some training, got a coach, got a coach who just sat me a plan and it's like, hey mate, this is what you need to do. Just stick to the plan. Like go for a run, this duration, this intensity, go for a swim here and here, do these sets. Here's your bike, go do these courses, do these sets over time, and we'll ramp up over time and with someone who knows what they're doing. And lo and behold, 5.5 months later, like I finished the Ironman in 12 hours and it was a great day. And it was like a tick off the list. I'm like, anyone can do this. Like just have a plan and stick to the plan. And it's like, well, why don't we stick to the plan that we know what we need to do? And it's because we're not fucking committed to ourselves. And we like give into these shitty little impulses that have our short-term pleasures at interest or avoidance of pain, not our actual long-term goals that we're aiming for.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like just don't fucking pretend. Don't pretend like you're doing it. Don't tell the world you're meditating when you're not. Like don't fucking post like you're going for runs all the time when you're not. Like don't pretend to yourself. Most importantly. Yeah. That's probably number one. Number two, I'd say an early rise. Like for me, just like start the day right. Like control what you can control. And for me, that starts at 4:24. But for me, it was like about picking a number. So it was like 24 because I love Kobe Bryant. He's my guy. My dog's called Kobe. I'm all in on Kobe. And he was a big inspiration through those times. So I picked 4:24 and then it's like my number. Like I don't think anyone else gets up at that time. So if I see 4:24, I'm like, I'm getting out of bed before it hits 4:25 because it's my number versus generic 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever it is.
Quarter past, whatever it is. Yeah.
So I think getting started early gets you just a head start on everyone.
Nice.
Because once you're up, you can exercise, you can control, you can meditate, you can journal, you can ice bath, you can do all that good stuff.
There's something about that early morning when it's dead quiet, whether you go out and exercise or whether you're at home, doing
work, something.
It's incredible. This morning I was running at 5:10 and it was weird because it was like eerie in a way. because there was like no one there, and it
Yeah.
was really cold. It was chilly just before, like, the sun. It was pitch black still, and I think I saw like maybe 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah. And they're heroes as well. You're looking at them going like, you're
Yeah,
gonna.
and it's like that little head nod. It's like that little acknowledgement of like, you're a mad dog. It's like when people on motorbikes, they just give that little head nod of like acknowledgement, like, I know you're there. It was the same thing. We all ran past it, smiled, and like gave a little head nod. I was like, there you go. See,
heroes. I love that. So that's what I mean. Like, yeah, get up early, and you've already got a head start on like 99% of people.
Yeah.
Temperance, early rise, and then the other one would be probably around having a value set and sticking to it. So I do read a bit of philosophy, but it's pretty much going like, what is a good life to you? Like, what is your best life? Describe it to us. Like, what type of behaviors are you doing consistently, which is what we call virtue or values, and then like check in enough on it. So I check in daily with that. So if it's courage, or if it's kindness, or if it's justice, or if it's love, or if it's industry, whatever it is, like pick your ideal lifestyle and actually like understand it, think about it, commit to it. So then what makes you happy. I think Brene Brown talks about, happiness is, what's your definition of happiness? And she just talks about like when aspired values is perfectly aligned with lived values, like that's happiness. It's as simple as that. So find out what your aspired values are and just go live them. So for me, like I wear this ring every day, which has got that symbol on it, which is a little custom symbol I made up, which represents my value set with my 8 values and stuff like that. So I just reflect on that daily. I record it in a little notebook and just trying to live one day at a time. But
I love what you said. Like you are very, philosophic. You're very well educated, and it's not. Don't take it the wrong way. It's not what comes across, like, which is awesome though. And I love the fact, and like we said earlier, there is no wrong or right. Like there is no, you have to do it this way. You have to be introvert or extrovert. You have to do 20 hours a day to be a successful entrepreneur, and you have to, whatever it is. I honestly love that mindset that you have, and consume so much knowledge to then go out and apply it in your way, and bring certain pieces into your world. And again, you can see just those 3 habits, how detailed you were, and how much they actually mean to you. Like it's not a fluke. It's not like you just wake up and be like, hey, I feel good today. Yeah, there's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah, it's hard, but once you figure out what works for you, then stick to it. And
it's not hard anymore.
I think don't pretend you're not. You just know what you should be doing. I think 9 times out of 10 people know what they need to do, man.
Totally. Good call. Do you remember the moment with Shine where you thought like, shit, this is real now?
I think it was probably getting into Caltex. Like we always had a vision board, and it was like, what retailers would we love to see this in? And Caltex was always like the big petrol stations, 700 of them. They're in almost every like part of the country, and it's just like, oh, imagine just seeing this on Caltex. And we actually mocked up an image of this. We went to store to take a photo, and then we photoshopped the box.
I like it.
Put down the vision board.
Man, that's
and then
cool.
We walked in, man, one day, and it was there, like the exact same position. It looked exactly how we thought it would, and we're like, shit, man, like this is scary. How much the visualization works. Agreed. And then 2, like how real this is now. Like it's national, it's everywhere. It's
well done, man.
We're making money now. So
every time I go into a store and I see the bottle, I'm going to think of that. Like these guys probably drew that on their vision board and saw it on the Coles shelf, or saw it on the Woolly shelf, or saw it wherever it might be.
I remember we used to walk into Woolworths, and then like with like the little box under our shirts, and then when the manager wasn't watching, like take it out, put it in the shelf, and then like take a photo of it in the shelf, and then send that to the buy and be like, hey, it looks pretty good. Like, or see as people walk past, like how many people picked it up, and that kind of stuff. So you just
and it wasn't even on their SKU. Like it wasn't even a product that someone could buy.
No one could buy it.
See, guys, man, I love that. Like that's real hustle. That's real, like no fucking around. Like that's like, we're gonna make this shit happen. I like that.
Hard stuff. It's just put yourself out there, I think.
Like I said, you weren't faking it. You weren't lying about it. We're like, we're going to make this happen. Let's go actually bring it in store under our shirts, take a photo of it, and we're going to make it real. Let's see how many people actually look at it. Incredible, man. Incredible. I like it. Let me ask you this though, Steve. You as we start to wrap it up, you sort of said, like you had that business, 18, 19, 20, it all turned to shit for the better. I'm sure there was lots of lessons and learnings that came out of it. But why did you bounce back? Why did you get back on the horse? What? It's not about what's special about Steve. It's not that. It's how and why did you say, cool, it was a learning experience. I'm going to go and find someone that can teach me, not just sort of, surrender to the idea of I'm going to go back and work at PwC. Because I'm sure that idea potentially came up after that. It's like, shit, do I go back and be an employee? But why you?
I think for me, it's mindset. It's all perspective, right? Like events happen and your opinion makes it good or bad. I think Hamlet said
Totally.
Shakespeare. So it was a mindset that Ray Dalio actually talks about in his book Principles, where he references the hero's journey, or Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, where life is literally a series of these pursuits into the unknown. You face some obstacles, you challenge up, you learn up, you then meet the master level, you hopefully try and defeat it, or you don't, you really come to some sort of death. There's a gem, there's an insight, there's a treasure, and then you kind of return to the known land and you pass the gift on to others. And I had that narrative in my head, and all great stories since the beginning of time, since Homer and Odyssey, had that same narrative of the hero's journey. So for me, when I got to like the abyss, it was primed and it was already in a mindset of, okay, what I need to learn from this. Like this is really, really bad. There's emotional pain here. There's all the shame and guilt and anxiety and depression and there's all bad emotions wrapped up. I'm like, all right, there's a big fucking lesson here. Like there's a 100%. Big thing here. What is it? And once you get over the initial shock of what's happening, I think that's where I started to search and like I've dropped my keys in the ground. I'm just like searching like what do I need to find here? And Ray Dalio talks about the simple formula, which he's like run his whole life on. And this guy's one of the most successful investors of all time with Bridgewater. He talks about pain plus reflection equals progress. Pain plus reflection equals progress. So if you got the pain, you're like, great, then add reflection and then you get progress from it. And that's how you kind of just keep leveling up. So at the end of the day, I think you win or you learn, and they're the outcomes. Like there's nothing else.
And I love the reason I love that even more is because even when I asked you earlier about what's the, it's as CEOs got so many great things. What's some of the challenges? It's that every day, like you face challenges every day, which makes you a better CEO, which makes you a better leader, which makes you a better person. It makes the company better, makes the brand better.
100%.
It wouldn't have got to where it is today without all those challenges. You can't even say half those challenges. Like every single one of those challenges has served a purpose. Every single one of those challenges helped Shine be what it is today.
They talk about tempering a sword, which is literally the combination of really hot and really cold to then when they forge steel and forge a metal steel. You need that. You need the challenge wins and the right balance of tempering the sword to forge your own steel.
Nice one.
You kind of go, is this a win or this is a learn? And then you kind of just keep adjusting from there.
Correct. And I love that. Like that journey is going to happen forever. And that's what we were sort of saying earlier about like the entrepreneurship. You actually said it really well. Like everyone has the keys to the gate. Everyone has the ways to get in. It's once you're in, it's about understanding that this is the journey. It's not that first business where the first person said your product shit. So be it. Like, okay, cool. What is there merit to that? If not, cool. What's the learnings there? Move on. Next. Some people are just going to talk shit because that's the way it is with social media. But then sometimes there is merit to a feedback.
And I think, and that for me, one of the things was like, don't take it so personally. Like it's not saying your shit. They're saying your product in this current form is potentially shit. My opinion. So many caveats to that. Versus people take that one bit and go, I'm done. Like I'm not an entrepreneur. Like, let's just put that unqualified opinion from someone whose personal preference is not aligned with your own.
Totally.
Don't let that derail your whole dreams. If
you've got a product or service out there, then you totally are an entrepreneur because you've gone through the shit to actually get it to the public. If you've got it to the public and someone's giving you the feedback, awesome. Thank you. Goodbye. Next. I'll take it on board or I'll put it in the bin, whatever it works. I like it. Last question actually that I want to ask is not what's your, top, takeaway or tip to someone, but was there something that anyone ever said to you, Steve, that really stuck with you? Whether it be a quote, something that was said directly to you or something that you overheard, was there something that someone said to you that really stuck with you that you really draw on in times when you I need a little hit, like a good positive hit?
We just talked about the obstacles and kind of overcoming that, so I won't talk about that again. But one of the things that resonates to me the most with what Sam said early days, one of the first times I met him, was he kind of had this story around, like, I'm a smart guy, he's a smart guy, like, Jamie, you're a smart guy, like, we're all in our own circles leaders, and maybe it's on the for everyone, like if it's the footy pitch, if it's the family dynamic, if it's the classroom, if it's their little management team they've got at work or at school with a uni project, like, we're all leaders. But the question is, like, when leaders meet other leaders, like, who leads the leaders? Who steps up to lead when the leaders meet? And the answer to that question was, it's, even though the world's burning, I'm going to stick to my value set more than you're going to stick to your value set. And that's why you'll be led by me, is the answer. And it's therefore understanding your value set, knowing the lines of where it starts and where it stops, and the definitions of exactly what you will not compromise on ever, and sticking to it more than the other guy. And ultimately that's what it comes down to. And I think it stuck with me a lot. And obviously I talk a lot about my value set. It's very important to me. It's something I talk about and think about daily. Because for me, that's the outward shape of my soul in the world.
Totally.
That's like the borderline of how I represent myself in the world. And I just try and make it internally aligned as externally. And hopefully there's no filter there.
Totally. And it's a conscious decision. Like, you're actively wanting to achieve that because you've set it out. Like, you know what your value set is. It's not an accident. You're not doing what you're doing today by accident.
Yeah.
You haven't turned up to this, recording to the episode by accident. I'm sure there's multiple things that happened to make sure that you were here on time, that you had to, you had the right mindset. You started from 4:24 this morning, and it started with Shine as well. How many of those, this is another question. How many of those bottles a day do you reckon you drink?
I'm not too bad these days. I've definitely been
these days. Just drop that in there. These days.
Yeah, I've definitely had a bit too much in my time. But in all seriousness, I haven't been sick. I haven't taken a sick day in like 4.5 years, and I've been drinking Shine roughly for 4 years. So something's correlating there, man. Something's good.
I'm just gonna roll with that. If you don't want to get sick, guys, go and get some Shine.
Yeah, and ginseng actually in the Shine shot is one of the things with zinc. It's one of the only known things to reduce the length of a cold. So it helps with immunity. It's an adaptogen. It helps the body deal with stress. So there's some science behind it, but also I've just believed that every day. So
if you believe it enough, it'll come true.
Yeah. So I'll have one of these when I get up. As soon as I get up at 4:24, I'll have a Shine shot on an empty stomach. And then I'll have, when I usually sit at my desk in the morning, like a new carbonated 330. Yeah. And then with lunch or just after lunch, I'll have another one. Do
you take it to parties and drop vodka in there and stuff, or no? Oh, you don't drink anymore?
I don't go to parties.
There you go. He doesn't go to parties, guys. Only when Sam's going to be there. When you got to meet someone, you need a DJ to connect you. Yeah. That's when you go.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, you do what you need to do in this business, and like
100%.
Like, whatever it takes. And for example, some buyers and like relationships with the key accounts, they love fitness and sports. And like, one of the great relationships I have with the buyer, he loves cycling, and he didn't talk to me at all. Like, couldn't get a meeting with the guy, ignored me for 6 months. Every time I would get a meeting, he'd reschedule it. And this is one of the big national accounts we're in now. And then I figured out he loves cycling. So I was like, I'm going to go and sign up for this Ironman effectively and learn cycling and learn this whole thing, and started talking to him about bikes and shoes and routes and courses and training. And we just like hit it off about cycling. We ended up signing up for the half Ironman together. We did it together. Beers at the finish line. We're brothers. Like, we're all best friends. And then now I text him all the time going, this is my new SKUs. Like, he's like, cool, it's in. Like, it's that anything, man. I'll do an Ironman. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. And that's one example. But on the other guys, like, some guys do love big boozy nights. Totally. Like, you end up at 5 a.m. It's like, whilst individually I don't love doing that for my body, it's, they're really good guys, really good to hang out with. And I'm willing to do that, for those guys as well.
Correct. No, I love it, man. Steve, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for your time. I've learned a lot. You're an incredibly insightful person. I thought I was reading a fair bit, but I'm going to have to step up my game to consume so much more knowledge and get back in that space. And I actually wrote down a few things that you mentioned. on the way, and I'm sure the listeners have as well. Where would the best spot for people to, one, connect with yourself, and even obviously definitely Shine as well?
shinedrink.com or Shine Drink on all the social channels. I think I'm Steve Chapman on all the social channels.
I think I'm Steve Chapman.
Yeah. It's actually just Steve Chapman, I think is the tagline.
I love it.
And I think there's a website that I've got a blog, which I need to do some more writing and publish some more blog articles, but I think that's sdchapman.com or stevechapman.net. I think they both lead to the same place.
Same place. Well, I'll make sure I put it all in the show notes for everybody. And if you can send me whatever those two ones that go to the same place, send it to me that way it's the right one, and people can get it. But again, man, I really appreciate the time. And for those of you out there listening, like definitely go and, read or listen or see anything that you're doing, man, because it's incredible. And like I said, I've learned a lot from the journey, and I honestly look forward to seeing where Shine goes. I like what you said. It's still warming up, still in the change rooms. It's not even pre-season yet, and it's game on from here on. Especially as you get more of these research content coming out, encouraging positive signs of what you guys are doing. So again, Steve, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Man. I enjoyed it. It was good fun.
Good. And for everyone out there listening as well, thank you so much, and I look forward to catching you on the next episode.